this week was cool. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. We've got an exciting update to the Demo Shop mod collection series this week, so let's go ahead and dive into our 10 new mods. Starting off with this beautiful Les Paul Custom. I enjoy this one. It's a nice bright blue vibrant finish. The white plastics that don't get used on Gibsons too often really accentuate it. Then you get a clear plastic pick guard, threw in some custom buckers in there for fun too. Interestingly enough, the Gibson USA style ABR1 bridge. And then if you look on the edges, it appears we've got some white. So naturally, I'm curious, gotta look at the back, and then bam! It's just a white side effect, and then you've got the blue back. Interesting choice to have a clear back plate, but it shows off your B's. They left the neck white, but then we get a piercing blue stinger, and here's what our headstock was looking like. This one is posted at $5,900, which I thought, yeah, alright, it's pretty cool. But now that I'm reading this, frosted lace. We've been seeing a lot of lacy guitars lately. So sure enough, if you go on here, adjust their contrast a bit, you can actually see it does have that floral lace pattern to it. I did not see that on launch day. Otherwise, I probably would have considered picking that up. That's awesome. But whoa, the upset of the century, it's still there? I guess I wasn't alone in not seeing the true hidden beauty of that. But if beauty's not your style and you want something more aggressive, check out Camo Cat 70s Explorer. Kinda reminds me of an evil mummy, which is great for spooky season that's coming up here. But if anything, it reminds me of this 1993 NAMM Show display piece Explorer that we saw at Heritage Auctions about a year ago. Very similar vibes. Got an uncovered bridge pickup, we've got a covered neck with the exposed slug coil cover. And at first I thought this was like an 80s style, but no, it's the 70s style because we've got binding on here. They just painted over the pickguard to give it a pickguardless vibe. It's even got the matching headstock and truss rod cover. You flip it over to the back, they didn't skimp anywhere here either. This is really cool. It's kind of what I was hoping that they would do for some of the B-stock 80s Explorers. A brand new 70s Explorer is about $2,500, so $900 for a really cool custom paint job. I think that was well worth it. But next up, the return of Viridescent Candy, but this time on a Gibson USA 61 SG. Does anybody else get Epiphone vibes from this color? It looks exactly like a limited edition Epiphone finish, because a lot of times the poly finish makes normal colors look a little bit darker. For example, look at this Gibson Les Paul Modern in the faded Pelham blue finish. And now look at the Epiphone Les Paul Modern in the faded Pelham blue finish. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a gorgeous royal emerald finish. It doesn't look like they went too overboard with our headstock this time, but it was a complete color overhaul for a pretty fair price. Now our next one, I'm a little bit worried if people are gonna like it or not. It's a 70s Deluxe in Key Lime Stripe. Kinda gives me Les Paul Hitman vibes that we talked about in this episode. It looks like you've just got a golden edge with your limeness in the center. I mean, the mini humbuckers do work well with this finish. I don't fully understand what they're referencing here. But it's got the regular headstock and a natural back and side, so okay, maybe that's like the key lime crust. And maybe our pickguard's supposed to be like the whipped cream. I think a nice light white burst would have been pretty cool, but now I'm just thinking about pie. We better move on. But hey, coach, it's time to put me in. I'm ready red. 3200, I think we saw something like this last week. Basically, they took the Scorpion Les Paul custom design that they did as a limited edition, and they put it on Les Paul Standard. So with any luck, this might be a slightly transparent finish on the edge, even if it does look dark. Either that or it's just actually black. It's kind of hard to tell in stock photos. But hey, you've got gold hardware now. Can't tell if that's slightly tinted lacquer or if that's just a really interesting piece of mother of pearl for that logo. But the back is completely red. But what about Royal Metallic 335? Not a bad price on it. What'd they do? Ah, yes, I remember this. Beautiful dark blue finish, but then there's a button on your guitar. But that is indeed a kill switch, but it's not super buckethead in style. It's just on or off. It's great for like if you're a lead singer. When this was launched, I was like, why did they drill a hole in there just to put a bad kill switch on it? But now I see the output jack's there and it's normally here. So yeah, you could reverse that if you wanted to. It's not that big of a deal. You could always Sharpie it black if it bothers you and swap out your switch tip that they put a red one on. Ooh, I like that. Nice dark blue back, but yet the neck is like a really dark brown. Oh, and apparently the edges are also brown. Along similar lines, we've got a Les Paul Classic at $2,300 with the Mulberry Jam finish. Looks like great burst to me, but we've got the old HP style knobs with the abalone toppers, UFO style, and the zebra bobbin pickups don't look too bad on that. Although it looks like we're going for the satin finish, and our back is like a stained natural, very dark. And I gotta hand it to the mod collection naming guys on this one. Well, red, satin. Ha ha ha, funny. It's just a play on words, it's doofy. But then you look at it, it's like all red, but super aggressive with dirty fingers pickups. And it was a complete refinish. And whoa, nice custom shop case. Although I suppose if they're offering it at a premium, it's good that it did get that. Then there was a non-reverse bass. Satin Mellow Inverness green. I didn't see anything too crazy about that one. And then a Bourbon Burst Satin 60 standard. It's got kind of an interesting two-faced top going on. I bet it looks way better in person. And then the back is two-toned. So that was stateside. Now let's check out the European mod collection. We got 4 new guitars this week. A custom color Dark Cherry Cola 50s P90. Kind of a really cool custom color. With a natural back, tortoise back plates, stinger. And oh wait, hold the phone. That's not a black stinger. That's a Cherry Cola stinger. What a zinger. We're gonna have to sing her some praise. Yeah, that's right. We're having too much fun this episode. Otherwise, they just had a Trad Pro 5 Satin looking like this. 50s P90 that they changed the plastics to black and white, both front and back. Gave it those junior style tuners. And a Thunderbird that they gave some gold appointments to. And a doofy looking truss rod cover. It's different. I've been kind of hard on the European mod collection the past couple of weeks, but that's because I want to push them. I want to push them to greatness. So I'll give them props for the 50s P90 Dark Cherry. That was easily the coolest one that they did. But now our demo shops will start with the UK side because I think we still need to push these guys a little bit more. They had like 4 new offerings this week and none of them were really worth talking about. But the European demo shop, they stepped their game up. We got 20 new listings this week. I thought this 330 TD was pretty nice. You don't see these too often in the demo shop. Very cool tri-bursted finish. And it's an older model from 2018. So far in current production, the Slim Harpo limited edition Lovells have been the only 330 for a while. The standard 60s figure top look phenomenal in this lighting. This SG Modern had an interesting flame figuring pattern right here. It kind of reminded me of like an angel or something. Just depends on how you squint at it. There's a 335 Satin that they gave cream plastics to, but it had an interesting wood grain flame line right here on the neck. It's possible that's also just a stand rash. Kind of hard to tell from photos. Then one of the Gene Simmons Thunderbirds. I'd completely forgotten these things were a thing, but we have reviewed one. Check this out. 2300 including value-added tax. One of the 70s Explorers. Nothing too crazy here, right? Just a normal... Oh my goodness. Imagine being the guy that has to tell the shop owner, oh yeah, somebody took a chunk out of our 70s Explorer today. That's one of the worst damages we've seen. Normally in these demo shops, like sometimes we see some artist road-worn guitars, but this one is just kind of slightly on a different level. We've got a little bit of discoloration here too. So that must have been a pretty hard impact during a fantastic solo. Then there was this 50s J45. I don't know anything about it, but I thought the wood grain was kind of cool and the color was nice. And it was lefty, so it's always nice to throw those viewers a bone. But now let's talk the USA demo shop. The 2 overseas demo shops, they ended their Maestro pedal giveaways for every purchase. And the USA side only got it the last week, but now they've changed it. We've got a new one this week with the Orbit Phaser. So it seems like maybe each week they're going to change up what you might get if you buy something from the demo shop. But we had a whole boatload of stuff this week. Starting off, one of the Kirk Hammett USA Greenies. $2,800, you get a discount, free pedal. Honestly, that's one of the better tops we've seen. Like, it's fairly accurate to Greeny. It's got a nice, very dark, vibrant color. If I remember correctly, my review piece was a little bit brighter in hue. This darker one works. But then, oh, our neck is very light. Like, it's dark right here and half the headstock, but very light there. Interesting wooden variation. Kind of gives me similar vibes as to why I fell in love with this particular version of the Old Hickory Les Paul. This thing was really cool. Les Paul Classic Transparent Ebony Burst. 10 months ago, I had a viewer of the show message me. It looks like he's also posted here on Reddit. That's how I was able to find these photos. A Guitar Center sold him a guitar that had like all these cool specs, but it had like a modernized serial number. And we were suspecting that it might have been a new Black Friday deal guitar, but it was like a Trad Pro 5. So I wonder if this might be another one of those. And like they just decided not to do that collaboration, which is a shame. I really miss Guitar Center's custom orders. You know, the Bats in Flight Les Paul, the purple one from the first year, and then the red from the second. Still looking for a purple one if anybody's got it. But then they also had the Bats in Flight acoustics and the cool Pale Moon Ebony Stratocasters and Telecasters. Guitar Center knows how to do cool limited edition Halloween-y guitars. But to follow that up, we got an ES339 transparent ebony. As far as these go, it had a nice vibe. What seems like a really good price on an AJ standard. However, oof, shipping damage on this one. So if you have a straight line where your binding and neck meet, you don't need to be scared. It's just a seam line showing where the binding truly ends because the binding does get covered up. Now, if you see a shattered line around there, that is not a perfectly straight thing and you've got finished chipping, usually that is evidence of something happened to it, dropped in its case, mishandled in transit. This particular example is like somewhere in between. The nut's been replaced, so we don't know for 100% sure, but that's definitely not straight, so it definitely had some sort of light trauma. I'd suggest waiting till at least another $300 off. They had an SG standard that they voodooified. The gloss black doesn't quite capture the same essence of the original ash-bodied voodoos, but if you don't necessarily care about that, it's a great alternative. This thing was pretty sweet. 50s hand select top, but with gold hardware this time. That complements this finish incredibly well. And then we've got a dark natural back. The 70s Explorer was a really fair deal. $700 off for a Gibson.com exclusive color. Because it's got a ding right here. Small impression there. No reason to avoid that. They had a blacked out classic, but left it with the zebra single coils. And if you really zoom in, those are the voodoo style knobs, so they got the red numbering. Which, hey, here's a loyal viewers hour moment. A lot of Facebook groups, people are going crazy that Guitar Center's blowing out their old inventory of Les Paul classics. Apparently, you gotta call around to find the right shops to get them for this exact same price. But honestly, I'm kind of surprised people are really flocking to them. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago. The regular classic was $2,000, and if you called around to most stores, they would give you that same price. I mean, they're on the demo shop for that all the time. So my honest advice would be hold out a little bit. I think the prices might come down even further because it does seem like the Les Paul Classic is either going to get completely revamped or discontinued, so they're going to want to move through all their inventory. But then check this out, custom color Carina Explorer. Talked about these before. I think we've seen blue, red, and tobacco sunburst. Normally when I want a Carina Explorer, I want to see the wood grain, but when you already have one, sometimes it's nice to have the custom color. That's why I think the tobacco one's my favorite. Not much of a discount on that one. And lastly, a P90 Les Paul. Standard 50s with a clear pickguard, white knobs, chromed out everything else, but with a nice gold top finish and severely glossy back. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.